Okay, well, I guess we are ready to go. Hey, everyone, how's everybody?
Cody, Candace, why do y'all have y'all's cameras off?
Yeah, y'all need to mute. Y'all can mute your
No, please stop.
Okay, hang on. So I think I've replied to everybody that told me everything was screwed up, right? Holy moly. Somebody needs to mute their mic. Let's see, Cody, Candace. Okay, thanks, Mints. What's up, everyone? How are y'all? It's good to see you. We're going to do go over a couple things really quick while everybody's getting in here. I know some people are like, what the heck, Missy? Old self, get your stuff together. All right, let me make sure I've got, okay, somebody else just said it should be fixed now. Okay, it's fixed now. We're here. Okay. All right, well, let's get this started. Welcome to Sunday Night Live. And this is our second one. Last week was super duper fun. This week we're going to talk about the music business with Corey Barker. And I'll tell you a little bit about him after we go over just a couple things that we normally do. And that is welcome new people. I'm excited to see some new people in here tonight. Every Sunday night, or most every Sunday night, we're going to do the Sunday Night Live where we just kind of feature guests, performers. We look into the process of songwriting, music business, opportunities for music. And just to go over a couple things that are upcoming, we're doing a Sunday Night Live roundtable with contestants from America's Got Talent, The Voice, Songland, American Idol, and a few others, which is just going to be about their experience, tips for auditions, and what happens after, which a lot of my students know that I preach that a lot. It's like you can go on these shows, but if you don't have a strategy and a plan, then you know that it's not really going to help you as much as you would hope. I'm trying to get all this stuff figured out with those lights and stuff. Y'all, this is so funny. Anyone who knows me knows I'm just on the struggle bus over here right now, trying to figure this stuff out. I'm the most non-tech person. Debbie, I should have consulted with you. You know all these things. What was I thinking? Okay, so upcoming, we have that, which is going to be just a roundtable for those of y'all that are auditioning for America's Got Talent and some of the other things that are going on. Also, another Sunday Night Live we're having is an expert panel on releasing music in the pandemic. This has been super interesting for me personally, for a lot of the students and artists that I work with. And we're going to have some social media experts there, which I think is going to be really helpful for a lot of y'all that I work with, figuring out what platforms and PR and which platforms get the most amount of streams or views and stuff like that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Just stay tuned. I always post this on the Facebook page, as well as I send them to your emails. Also, we're doing a masterclass this month, which is going to be super fun. It's the Sister Circle, which is girls only, and it's going to be a pajama party this month, which is basically going to be the topic of self-esteem in the age of filters and social media. We're going to have a professional psychologist with us that is amazing, and she specializes in a lot of this stuff. And I think especially for some of you girls that are releasing music and you've got projects and stuff going on, it's important for you to, on one term, you want to realize, you know, what you have to do to look right for these press and promo and profile pictures and all that without it getting in your head. Lastly, I just wanted to let y'all know that, you know, keeping your prayers and thoughts and visions, and your good vibes. I really do want to open up the physical building for the Song Shack this year. So it's going to, you know, it's been a goal and a dream and a vision just to kind of have a place where a lot of you writers can just kind of gather and create and write, a place to record material, and just kind of like a little community for us. So just keep that in your thoughts and prayers. You feel free to use the chat room or whatever this is. What is it called? Somebody? It's not a chat room. Okay. Did mine mute? Candace, yes. Thank you. So if you
I
have
don't know
any
what's
questions,
a chat room.
Thank you.
Can we just talk? Okay. All right, we can just talk.
Yes. Feel free, please. So any questions that you have when we talk to Corey, either you can raise your hand. It's sometimes hard for me to see everybody's hand. So also I'm going to be looking in the chat room. Jacob, are you in you're able to kind of help me navigate through some of this. I know you're familiar with this from last week. If you see a chat, will you let me know if I missed it? Excuse me. Okay. All right. So before I introduce Corey, I want to give you guys a little bit of background information on Corey. And also keep in mind to keep your mics muted unless you're talking. If you do have a question, raise your hand, just hop on in here. Let me just say hello to some folks really quick before I talk about how amazing Corey is. Y'all are in for such a treat with him. He is just an amazing person, but he's accomplished so much. Let me just go ahead and say, hey, Debbie, what's up, Caroline, Mia, Tiff, iPhone sneaky person that won't reveal who you are. It's okay. Metha, Mallory, Millieanne, show yourself. Lizzie, you need to show yourself too. Some of y'all acting shy, and I know that you're not. Evie, RJ, Alex, Cody, Jacob, Isabel, Boone, Josh, which is probably Jonathan, Tamara, and all the Turners. I'm really excited for everybody to be here. This is going to be a really good time. If I missed you, sorry. Okay, so before I bring Corey on, look, I'm building up the drama here because it's so fun. I want to introduce to you an award-winning songwriter that has had 800 cuts in different genres of music, jingles, film, television series, such as been presented on HBO, Entertainment Tonight, Netflix, and others. The best-selling author of Hit Happens and 101 Ways to Get Your Songs Recorded, award-winning songwriter and all-around music business expert, and most importantly, my friend, Corey Barker, wherever you are. Corey, are you here? Look, I'm like, Corey? Corey? Is Corey here yet? Oh my God, I went through all that. I went through all that and he's not here yet. Oh, there he is. Corey, everybody give a big round of applause to Corey. Oh my God, it's so cool to see you, brother. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can everybody hear Corey? Raise your hand if you can't.
I can't.
Welcome aboard, Corey. This is the group. I've done giving you a big introduction of just how amazing you are. And oh, look, somebody said hi. Cody, thank you for the hat emoji. I didn't even know that was possible. Yeah, you guys come on and let me know you're alive here. Corey, so excited to have you. It's really neat from my perspective. Thanks, Evie. It's really neat from my perspective to be able to even host something and feature you because wow, what an amazing journey that I've been able to witness you've had in the music business. I'm just going to get down to some questions since we've got a limited amount of time and these guys should have tons of questions for you. It's good to see you, friend. So one question that somebody had asked that they wanted to know, do you authentically love what you do?
There's nothing in the world I would rather do. You know, that you hear that old saying that if you could do what you love, you never have to work a day in your life. And that really is true. When I worked at the bank or when I waited tables, I was always like, is it Friday yet? Is it Friday yet? Is it Friday yet? Like every second of the day. I've never said that one time doing
wow.
this.
That's something that's so, for me, it's like, you know, as a person that have had ultimate career hopper, you know, have done this and that, it's like to be able to do anything professionally in the music business is an honor itself.
It's so hard and you never know how long it's going to last when you get that opportunity. So you definitely learn to appreciate every moment that you get to do what you love to do.
So what does an average day look like for you in the biz?
For me, I'll get to the office about 8:30 and I'll look at emails. Maybe I've sent out feelers the night before to different artists if that might have been looking for songs.
Right.
And, I hope that there's a response in my, because it always lights you up when there's a response and someone says, yeah, I'd love for you to pitch me some, or I liked, you know, out of the 3 songs you sent me, I really like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I handle
and a lot of us, we talk about like some of the kids are doing syncs and that's part of that process, like sending out your music and never hearing a response. So it's always nice when you do.
You have to get used to that because more than 90% of the time, you're not going to hear anything. Not even, hey, your song sucked.
Right. That's something guys to notate. I mean, that's like really important. So let me ask you this, as someone that's got such an impressive accomplishments list, which just so many things that you've accomplished. Can you tell us what the journey was like to those goals?
Well, I have a lot of friends that moved here and they had the mindset of, okay, I'm going to give this a year or two try. And if it happens, that's awesome. And if it doesn't, then I'm just going to move on to something else. Well,
Right.
I don't know anybody with any amount of success that that worked for. It's a long-term goal, and you have to be, my three rules have always been be persistent, and then follow that with more persistence. And it really, that's the mindset that you have to have, and you have to surround
Yeah.
yourself with a bunch of people with that same mindset in order to get anything done. Because I don't know anybody where it happened overnight.
And that's something that I know for a lot of you guys, you have to realize, and I know I speak a lot on this, and that it is the journey. It's something you have to really know that it doesn't happen overnight, and you don't want it to happen overnight. Oftentimes when people have a great amount of success, it happens overnight. There's so many other things that come along with that negatively. You want to go through the process, don't you, Cor?
Well, you can't fully appreciate it if you move to town and you immediately got a big hit for Rascal Flats. There's no way to appreciate that like you would if you spent, day after day, all day long, every day for years, getting so close and then not having it happen. Then finally, one of those big cuts breaks through, and it's a person that you grew up listening to on the radio, and it just lights you up. And there's
Could
no
you
way,
imagine?
that weight makes you appreciate it even more.
You guys, for the students, I think it's interesting with what he just said, and that's something for y'all to think about, because it does happen. It's not like a far-fetched dream. It does happen. You do get there. Could you imagine your favorite artist right now in your head singing your song? How cool that would be. Or even being able to open up for them at a show. And I think it's just like Corey said, I mean, it does happen. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, here we are. Could you tell us maybe what one of your first kind of breaks were and what that looked like?
They're probably not going to know who this is, but
we're old. We've been doing this for a minute.
I know. So Cletus T. Judd is like the Weird Al Yankovic of country music. If y'all know who Weird Al Yankovic is, the guy that does parodies of and has done them for 30 years successful. So,
yeah, like Just Eat It from Michael Jackson. Just eat
right.
it. So it's that guy. Y'all should know. My students are old.
If not, look him up. I mean, he's
if not, look him up. It's hilarious.
Doing nothing but making fun of everybody else's songs. So, and there was a big hit out called "Paint Me a Birmingham" by Tracy Lawrence, and Lee Gibson changed it to "Bake Me a Country Ham" because Cletus was a big fat guy, and next thing we know, it hits the Billboard charts, and we hear it on radio even today on Thanksgiving and Christmas and things like that.
Yes. Which is hilarious, which I have to speak on your parody writing. So Corey, little backstory here. Y'all are getting the real juice right now. Corey and I went to high school together. He and I were also voted wittiest together. I was prom queen and Miss Wildcat. He didn't quite get those accolades, but he did get to do wittiest with me. His parodies that he would write in high school even are coming right out of high school. Like the one with Run OJ Run and a couple other ones that were just hilarious. My kids are actually here. Cody, say hi to your Uncle Sauce.
Uncle Sauce, excited to see you.
How are you?
Doing great. I'm excited. Chance actually wanted to reach out and say hey to us. He has bad service, he said, but what's up?
Okay, well, yeah, I just wanted to, because my kids grew up listening to these parodies, and they would just be like, oh my God, these are hilarious. And then the struggle of being in Nashville, and then you're talented, you're doing this and that, and you're seeing people around you taking off. And then sometimes you're like, when is my break ever going to happen? And everybody's goal for their big break is going to be completely different than the next person. So you had the Cletus T. Judd cut. And so that opened up the new world for you?
That opened up a few more, even though it was a silly song, just the fact that it charted Billboard and people knew who he was, it opened up the door for a couple of maybe bigger co-writers that wouldn't have given me the time of day. And then that following year was my first TV placement with, it just so happened to be my favorite show on TV, which was Smallville, the Superman story.
Yes.
And my buddy and I wrote it, and his wife actually got it to the right person. And they kept saying, hey, we love this song. We just don't know where it would fit. And so for 6 months, we were on pins and needles. And finally they said, hey, you might want to put your TV on Thursday night. It's going to be on there. So,
Okay, so that I have to stop you there and speak on this, because that literally, the story of that gives me chill bumps. I know that I've got people right now actively pitching to stuff, and of course I come from a sync publishing, which Corey actually got me the job working in publishing and syncs, where I was able to get such a good foundation of what it's about and got to meet so many good contacts. And the thing that I'm trying to tell some of the kids is that when you're pitching music, it's 1,000, and then you get the one. And then it's like, once you get the one, doesn't it seem to kind of trickle where the other place? And we're talking about, this is a big deal, you guys. When you have a song that you wrote on a television show that you like, or even that you don't like, that somebody else watches and they're like, I just saw or heard your song on TV. That is such a big, huge accomplishment as a songwriter, an artist. And doesn't it seem to kind of open up more doors? What happened after Smallville?
Well, it always, the good thing about those things is, like you said, whether you like the song or not, and we happen to really like it, and is that every time that song gets played in syndication, you're going to keep getting paid. I still get money off. That was 2005. I still get, royalty checks from that today. And it may just be a few dollars here and there, or maybe several, something really nice, but you never know. It always depends on the amount of people that are watching it. But to answer your question, once you get the one sync, now you have some more credibility to try to get the next one. And you say, I'd love to pitch you a song. I've had songs on the CW network and blah, blah, blah. And then after the next one, it becomes even more easier to get the next one. And it kind of snowballs. It's never easy, but it's easier. Once you have the success behind your name.
I think that that's a good point too, because once you have one, I'm just laughing at Millions comment. I love y'all when you make comments in the chat section. That just like makes my night. She's like, prom king, hilarious. I was actually trying to give myself a big shout out to being prom queen and Miss Wildcat. I'm not trying to brag. But I think that that's the one thing, is that getting your foot in the door with one song, it gives you credibility, especially with syncs. I know that a few of y'all, particularly one of you here in particular, we did a pitch, we did a follow-up pitch, and then sometimes we hear back, sometimes we don't. But there's been a lot of songwriters and artists that I've gotten that placement, and once they know that it placed, they know, okay, it's safe. Because we talk about dirty music a lot with the students and how important these copyrights and the paperwork and all of this stuff is to do a sync. I know, coming from a publishing and sync background, I would not even present a piece of music to anyone unless I knew that it was clear and fit the project. And I think that's what opened the door for me on a lot of placements that I was able to get, is by keeping that reputation. So that's something that with the music business, Corey will tell you, one strike, you're out. If you have a co-writer sitting in a room and you get a song on an ad and then that co-writer pops up, then all of a sudden, you're blacklisted. What'd you say, Corey?
Well, I will tell you a perfect example that just happened last week. I had a music supervisor that I know, a friend of mine, and she called me and said, hey, do you have a song like this? I had the perfect song all lined up, and the co-writer was so excited. He sent it to me right away, and he forgot that he had another writer on her. So he said he forgot. He was so excited. He didn't think about what the word clear even meant. And so she lost that placement, and she was so disheartened and so angry. As she said, she'll never work with that person again. And it could have been a simple mistake on his part. He might have been new and just didn't know it worked.
But it blacklists you, and then you
blacklisted him from her. He'll never get another opportunity through
never
her.
Again. So that's why it's so important. I have to say a special shout out to my son Chance, just got here. We were talking, Chance, about you and Cody. We were talking about getting to Nashville. Say hi to your Uncle Sauce, just because you're working, protecting the streets.
Hey, Uncle Sauce, can you hear me?
I sure can. Good to hear from you.
What's going on, buddy? It's been a while.
It's been a couple minutes.
Yes, it has. I just had to make him say hello, because they ask about you all the time. And this is to speak on also being, the journey, as we talk about, like there was a period of time when we're all, just sitting around trying to write a song, much less have an agenda with it like we do now as professionals. We were in Nashville together, Corey and I, just trying to figure this mess out. I mean, I remember just auditioning, trying to find an agent and losing shoes and running around and always being late. And winning a karaoke contest and thinking we were the next best thing in Nashville. I mean, so it's just such a journey. And these are stories and memories that you will have for the rest of your life, and you'll be able to tell your generations. So let's trail back for 2 seconds on about the journey that you've had and stuff. What do you think is some of the most important qualities that these kids can have for the industry of music, whatever the area?
Well, I think who you surround yourself with is one of the biggest things you could possibly do. Because, like I talked earlier about persistence, it starts with that, but you also have to have a team around you. Let's say you're really great at music, but you're not so great at lyrics. So then you team up with a friend of yours who's very strong at lyrics, or vice versa. Or
Yes.
you have another person who's maybe not the best at lyrics or melody, but they have fantastic ideas, and you can't have the song without the hook or the
Then
idea.
some
So
become in these.
very important too.
Yes.
And then you got the person who is maybe not great at any one of those things, but they're fantastic at their communication skills, meaning they could cold call an artist and smooth talk their way into giving them a song that same day. Or
That is a good point about that. What he's talking about is building your village, which we talk about a lot especially when you guys are doing a release. And that is, you may not be the best digital artist. You probably have a friend that is. You may not be a good at social media marketing, but you probably have a friend that does. So that's, as a matter of fact, I just told somebody last week, raise your hand if you're in here. I said, start keeping a contact list, okay, of people that you know and what they do. Because if you've got a friend, you may forget 2 weeks from now that friend is an artist, a digital artist. You may need a
one time and never saw him again. So I walk in, I go,
hang on, somebody's we're hearing somebody's like dirty gossip.
It's that. The one she was
Somebody airing their business on here. Somebody needs to mute because we're hearing all the problems in the family. Whoever that was, I better not be my family. I don't want my stuff out there. So the village, let's get back to talking about that. So he's basically saying to be aware of the people that you're surrounding yourself with, like have good people. And even as a person, especially you young creative people, even just on a personal level, you need to be around people that are just good people, because the wrong person can bring your whole career down also, which I'm not even going to get in on my dirty laundry on that. But I mean, I can testify, honey, one bad person in your life can wreck stuff. Tiffany can testify. Tiffany's like, yes, but it's true. So, and then you can always kind of tap into each other's kind of attributes that they can offer you. What do you think the hardest part of, you guys should be having some questions at this point. Go ahead and pop them in the chat or raise your hand after this one. But what do you think some of the hardest challenges that these kids will face?
Well,
as artists, and I've got some that are just songwriters, by the way, that are just trying to straight up get into sync. Then I've got the majority are artists trying to break in the industry.
So are you artists, writers as well, or just strictly?
Yeah, everybody here is a writer. Yeah.
Okay. Because it's different both ways.
Yeah, very much.
The patience to see it through and to not give up is the biggest challenge for a lot of people, because we all want things to happen right away, and it's just not how they happen unless we're extremely lucky. Right. So having the patience to build your team and to not be afraid to work with, you need to work with as many different people as possible from a co-writing standpoint, whether you're an artist or not. Let's say I write a song by myself. The only chance I have of making something happen is my connections. If I write a song with 3 other people, sure, I only own 25% of that song now, but now I've quadrupled my chance to find a home for that song because all those other 3 people have all their connections.
Yes.
So
it's the math. Sometimes it's just the math of having like we talk about the village a lot, like if you've got people that believe in you also, even if they're not even in the industry, they're out there peddling and pushing and hustling for you just as much as you are. So Corey's talking about patience. One thing that Millieanne asked, and I'm going to let you address this, Corey, because I know she's heard my thoughts on this, but how do you stay true to yourself when there's such an expectation for artists these days? Corey, how would you respond to that?
to be your own authentic self. Well, the good thing about being your authentic self is that a lot of times if you're chasing what's happening on the radio or that kind of thing, is that by the time you get a song where it needs to go, the trend has already changed. And
It's so
that's
true.
one problem. The other problem is you're not as believable unless if you write a song and you perform a song from the heart, it's that authenticity comes through. If you're writing a song or performing a song to try to sound like Celine Dion or somebody else, a lot of times that's going to come through that you're trying to be something that you're not. And so it's always better and more believable to be who you are.
And here, let's answer a couple more questions. I think that I could talk about that all day long. That's some of my favorite conversation, Millie Ann. So from Mia, how long did it take until you had your first big break?
Let's see, I moved here in 1998. There was a few years of nothing. And then, and let me say this too. I have friends who have been here 20 years and nothing, so,
Right.
and they're still hanging in there, which I have utmost respect for.
And people that have been there 6 months and had everything. I mean, there's like, there's
That
no
too, it doesn't normally happen, don't expect that to happen.
Right.
We all do expect
Right.
it to happen when we move there, but that's just not the way that works. It was about 6 years before I got the Cletus cut. On the 7th year, I started to get the sync cuts. And I think it was about the 8th year I got my first staff writing deal as a writer.
Wow.
They actually paid me to do what I love to do. And that has came and disappeared for me probably a handful of times, maybe 6 times in my 22-year journey.
And let me speak on that for you guys that are getting into the music business. The one cool thing that you guys have the advantage over, say, us coming up in the business is that back then we didn't have sync. Like now you actually can write a song today, pitch it tomorrow, possibly place it next week, and then immediately start getting a paycheck, a licensing fee plus your royalty. So that's what we didn't have until recently. So this is a fairly new end, which I preach on this. You know how I feel about syncs. I'm constantly preaching on this. That's one advantage you guys have as songwriters. So you can kind of cheat a little bit, because if you write a good enough song and we can pitch it, then you can get there a little quicker. Evie says, how hard is it or was it to produce a piece of music?
Well, typically, in most cases, you take it to a producer, somebody that you trust, who can, especially one, let's say if you're looking for sync, since we're talking about sync, your best bet is not to go with somebody who you heard has a great price. That does you no good.
Right.
You go to somebody who has had some success before, and when they produce, they know how to do it. And if it costs you twice as much, then you save your money until you can get it right the first time, because it does you no good to do something cheap and it's not useful.
Right. The product, and I'm going to say this just really quick, Evie, especially since you're kind of new to this end of the world. By the time you guys write something and get into production, regardless if you're working with this producer, that producer, some of you guys in lockdown are producing your own stuff. A lot of it has to do with like bit depth and EQs. And so some of that we'll learn down the road, just so you know. Cody said, Corey, how true is the saying, who you know, it's who you know, not what you know, when it comes to licensing and selling original songs? Isn't that the truth?
That's the truth for pitching songs to major artists and for sync and for everything. Your talent is a very small part of it. It's who did you have coffee with last week who has the key to those doors that you need. And it's a shame that it's true, but
that's why it's so important that I always say that, your talent will get you in the room, your character keeps you in there. It's very true that whenever you are in a situation where you're meeting somebody, that you are your best self. Don't be fake. Don't put on a persona. Be authentic. My best connections, which I laugh all the time in the publishing world, was actually falling up the stairs with coffee into music supervisors, trying to get in real quick. And then I thought I had ruined my career with that move. And apparently it's what helped them to remember me. So just be yourself. Being yourself always will help you. Jacob says, what are the qualities you look for to make an A-grade sync song comparatively in a TV show commercial?
Well, we're lucky if we get a brief from someone saying, hey, here's exactly what we need right now. I mean, that's what we hope for. And then you hope that you have the money to go do it right now. But
commercials are hard and ads are hard to come by.
They really are. So what we do as writers, when we know we want to write for sync, we think about the things like what's going to come up a lot in movies. So you think of things like the opening scene road trip song, "We're on our way, yay," the top down, all that.
Mhm.
Think of overcoming obstacles and winning the championship, whether it be gymnastics or football or whatever the thing may be. You think of, weddings and funerals and love songs, and you just think of ideas that happen over and over, and that gives you more chances to get a song placement instead of being very specific. Lyrically as well, you can really shoot yourself in the foot with having too much information.
I'm gonna say too, the spatialness in songs, especially, I keep up with the trends, and we're gonna have another Sunday Night Live because I just got some really fascinating information, Corey, I'm gonna share with you too when it comes to that from the media research on trends for 2021, which is so interesting to me. But as far as syncs go too, ads are changing during this type of pandemic stuff. So ads are different. I'm gonna say this really quick about ads just for my students. I actually have started getting some briefs, which I need to share, and will start putting them on our Facebook page. But the problem with the briefs with ads is they give them to you like a few days before they want it. So it's generally stuff that you already have cleared in your catalog. Some of my students that are like bulk writers that I call that are just twist and turn them out, I'm always like, just keep a catalog, keep it all clear, keep your paperwork, because ads kind of, they turn and burn pretty quickly. Let's ask this other question. Like, for example, what qualities would you specifically look for in a commercial that you wouldn't a TV show? That's a very good question because there are certain attributes.
Well, either way, I think when you're talking about space, that's the biggest difference between writing a country or pop song and writing a song that you want the idea to flow and you want to keep that space. Like road country, for instance, has no place in sync because it's just about. There's no place for that actor to have any kind of dialogue over that. If you have space in between lyrics and keep your, the biggest problem I would say for the sync writing, whether it be an ad or whether it be for that TV show, is trying to keep it simplistic where it's easy to remember and easy to sing and yet not sound like you were in the 5th grade when you wrote it because you can't put any furniture in the room, meaning like very descriptive things, because the more descriptive you get, if you say she's in a red dress in the wind on a California beach, well,
then you can't use that.
But red, you just ruined it. If it's not California, which is the other 49 states, you just ruined it. So,
unless it's made, sometimes you get a project specific. Like I think of The Fault in Our Stars, which Susan Kent, the music supervisor for that movie. Has anybody seen that by show of hands? Has anybody seen The Fault in Our Stars? I still haven't seen it. But anyhow, so a girl that I worked with, Sarah, had sent some stuff over to Susan. We were pitching some of her stuff and the music supervisor just fell in love with Sarah. And it just so happened Susan Kent was working with the director, which I think was Stevens, maybe not Steven Spielberg. I forget all these people, but anyhow, they brought her in to try to write for the track because they just loved her voice. They loved her feel, her writing style. That happens 1% in a lifetime, but I have seen it happen. We had one question. I thought this was a good one. Oh, let me just say this really quick. The whole reason why I was talking, oh my God, I should never had this coffee. Cheers. The biggest placement or the biggest pitch and placement that I've ever gotten for a songwriter, which some of you guys know because I tell this story a lot. Hey, shout out to Imran, by the way. I just have to say hi to him. I was Dunkin' Donuts and it was 50 grand. And this song I just heard, Corey, on a Cottonelle commercial too. So this song has been placed in so many ads, but it's I feel good all the time. I feel good all the time. That's literally, I think, all the lyrics to that song.
Simplicity, it sells.
I mean, what ad would that not fit? Like it could be tennis shoes, it could be furniture. It doesn't even matter because that's a good point of these commercials. It's like you're selling an emotion in commercials, very different in a lot of ways than TV. Y'all need to remember that with ads, you're selling the product by selling a feeling. That's what these
up-tempo, happy, positive, pop.
Or truly soul wrecking, like these stupid Folgers commercials that kill you inside. Oh my God. I mean, they're too much. Okay. From Cody, you have your finished product, mixed, mastered, etc. You're trying to pitch it. who would you go to, or what would be your initial step for someone who's like guerrilla style, just trying to get their song heard? So who would be the first person, your first initial step for getting your music heard? Your mom.
Are we talking about, yeah, never trust your mom. That's the first.
Never trust your mom.
Are you talking about getting a song to a recording artist, or are we talking about getting a song to a music supervisor?
Probably to a music supervisor.
No, just like I said, like guerrilla style, you don't have the connections per se, and you're just trying to get it to the right person potentially to listen to it, to give it a hear. Would it be just emailing it, sending it out in a file like a?
Oh, I see what you're saying. For the pitch, which that's very specific, which my students I talk about all the time. There's very specific ways to pitch a song. Corey, you speak on it without me even saying anything, and let's see how close we are.
Well, I'll tell you two different avenues.
Okay.
Like, I've got a song ready, and I feel like it's ready for multiple artists. There's a thing in the country world. There's a thing called Music Row Fax, or no, I'm sorry, it's called rowfax.com, and you subscribe to it for like, say, maybe $180 a year, and it gives you a listing of everybody that week who is looking for songs. On an indie level, it'll even give you their email addresses to their manager, or maybe even them.
And this is for artists, just to.
This is for artists who are artists or artist writers who are writing songs to give to other people to make them money.
Mhm.
So now when it comes to pitching your own self as an artist to try to get heard, you know, Google can lead you to a million different management companies, and that's always a great place to start. When you're talking about pitching to sync, I would say that one thing I do, and it's very tedious, but I go to linkedin.com because it's usually a more professional way to reach out to people who you don't know. And I'll type in the word music supervisor, and then pages and pages of people will come up, and you'll be able to see, you know, which shows that they're music supervisor for, and then you'll send them a connection request. And
That's a very good strategy.
And you have to kind of hope that they'll say, you know, they'll click connect. And if they do click connect, then there's about a 95% chance you're going to have access to their email at this point. And then at that point, what I like to do is I go to, not TuneFind, but that's another thing to type down, tunefind.com, TUNEFIND.com. And if I have a favorite show I'm wanting to write for, I can go to tunefind.com and listen to every piece of music they have ever placed on that show. And
my students, I get them on TuneFind.
Okay, so then that way you know that your music really does match up to what they're using. And so when you send that email and you say, hey, I would love to connect with you, I have some music that is clear, make sure you say that word clear. And Missy can tell you about the importance of metadata to make sure that it is clear and all that kind of stuff too.
My kids are so sick of hearing about metadata. Raise your hand, those of you that are, y'all are so sick of hearing about metadata. Oh my God, Jacob and Debbie, you for sure should have raised your hands. I know I talked to you about metadata so much, Millyanne. I think that that for Cody, just to kind of get into that a little bit, that's what I do. You know, like a lot of times that's what I did. I don't really do that as much anymore, but it's good to find a publisher. There's a lot of times you can work with a sync agent. Cody said, awesome. Thanks, Corey. You can work with a sync agent. You can work with publishers. You know, a lot of times if you have a manager, your manager will pitch your stuff, you know, so there's the authentic way. LinkedIn, do your research, find somebody who's got contacts, which my students know that when you get ready and you're ready to pitch, you know, we kind of put together a package and go through it together. I feel, let me ask Tiffany, can I ask you something? Somebody who's familiar with this kind of stuff. I feel like I'm getting sunburned from this halo light. Does anybody deal with it? I'm not used to doing these kind of web things, but I feel like I'm getting sunburned from my halo light. Is that normal? Where the teenager Caroline? That's not, I mean, do I
Missy,
okay.
That's not good.
Okay, so maybe I'm going to move it, but see, I'm trying to keep myself in the light here. Okay, sorry about that. I just had to ask. I want to make sure I'm going to end up with 3-degree burns. Let's talk about for a second your songwriting process. I think this is so interesting because last week we had Jacob Turner, an amazing blues rock featured artist, and we heard about his process. And like, I'm always interested to hear from a personal songwriting project comparably to as a project professionally, the difference and what that process is for each.
Well, from a personal, when I'm trying to get cuts on artists out, I almost always, let me just start with this. I almost always have a recording artist in the room when I write, and I write twice a day, every day. I write at 10 o'clock and I write at 1:15.
Is that as staff writing?
Writing, yes. We create music at 10 o'clock every morning and at 1:15. I give myself 15 minutes to chew a granola bar or something in between sessions. But there's zero second best ways to getting a song recorded by an artist than to writing with them. You know, and then not everybody is that lucky because they don't all live in Nashville and they don't all have the day where they're paid to have that free time to do that. But when you can, your chances dramatically increase because every artist would love to be a part of the music that they put out. Even if they didn't do most of the work, it's a pleasure to them to be able to do that. So we usually have anywhere from 2 to 4 people in a room. It's been more than that on accident a couple of times when I overbook, but we create every day, and we create in mind for what song will be great for this artist. And if this artist ends up not cutting the song on their album, would this also work for several other people or for a TV show? And we call that kind of a 2-for-1. If it's great for the artist, but also works for sync.
Right.
We keep that in
That's
mind quite often as we're creating every single day.
So personally, do you write personally still, right?
As in like by myself?
Yeah.
I do write by myself occasionally, but that doesn't, since I'm not the recording artist, that's
Just
not
your personal stuff.
like now I will say Friday I had an artist not show up. I wrote one by myself and sent it out to a dozen people who I know it might work for, and it's not even recorded yet. I just recorded it into my laptop and I got it on hold within an hour. That is not
that happens.
That's not average. That doesn't always happen. But the thing about writing by yourself is you skip all those other things like I was telling you about earlier. There's no other, if I didn't write it with the artist, I'm not a recording artist, so I have to go find an artist now.
Yeah.
Not
And you know what?
I gotta go find a music supervisor now. So
And speaking on that, because I just had somebody ask a question about the process of project writing for others. I want to kind of tap in on this because I know it's something I've talked to a few of you about, especially particularly writing for sync projects. That is a different type of process generally for you students, because your songs that you're writing from your soul, your therapy songs, we talk about this a lot, those songs that are just authentically happening as an artist, as a songwriter. And then you have those songs that you're like, okay, hey, this show is looking for music. Here's the running theme of this show. And I'm going to write a song that I feel like would place here. You're still using your creative juices and stuff. You're just formatting it differently to fit into this project. Now, sometimes you get a 2-for-1 in that deal, like you've written a song and it's your authentic self, and it also fits a brand of television shows, then that happens. But still, writing for sync is a little bit more laser focused. Let me get to a couple more because I know we're running out of time. There's so many things everybody wants to ask. Your favorite co-write, Corey?
well, I've written several thousand songs, so I'm not really sure.
Before you say that really quick, Jacob mentioned, is it like ghostwriting? Let's talk about that for just 2 seconds, because I've had a lot of students ask me about this.
Sure.
Ghostwriting is generally, from my experience, I've done a lot of ghostwriting. It generally is when you're either under contract or you want to write something that is off your brand, or something that sometimes the artists don't want people to know who wrote on their song. Sometimes you have that situation. So kind of similar. Corey, could you speak on ghostwriting for a sec?
Yeah, I would take ghostwriting. It doesn't happen a lot like it does in books,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But there are instances where, like you said, the artist, they love this cool pop vibe, but they may be a country artist and that doesn't fit their normal style. So
I got Garth Brooks, Chris Gaines.
well, that was for a movie that never happened, but
God, I know.
but what they'll do is they'll create like an alter ego. And so it may be
Mhm.
Joe Schmo, and they'll put it out under a different name. So that way they still get financial credit for it, but it doesn't get mixed up with like, hey, this artist doesn't even know who they are because they just did a honky tonk.
Right.
And
And I've told my kids to do that. Sometimes I'm like, okay, you've written an amazing country song and you're definitely a pop artist, why don't we go ahead and just record it, put it under a different name, pitch it that way, and just see what happens. Oftentimes it's more for licensing. I had another question here, the co-write. Your favorite co-write, if you can't think of that, maybe your favorite song you've ever written, your favorite project. What are one of your favorites?
Well, I would say not necessarily the power of the song, but because of what it financially did for my family. I had a military song that called Heroes and Angels that I wrote with Barry Michael, and the military picked that up under and paid a contract for that song, and flew him to every military event to sing that and the national anthem every year. And it was a very big, it was a big deal because it doubled my salary and it gave me a chance to buy a wedding ring for my wife and do all these things that I couldn't have done without that song. So that song will always mean a lot to me.
That's an awesome story too, Corey. I forgot about that. That speaking of patriotic music, you know, that is a big market, especially during these kind of times. Also the covers of which we'll talk more about this when we do a sync circle, but also I think it's oh my God, I just got Millie Ann's question. Hang on, I'm trying to think what I was about to say. What was I about to say? Oh my God.
Military.
Oh my God. Oh, it's like stuck right here. Do you see it? Oh my God. Never mind. Crap. Okay. Sorry about that, you guys. Corey, from Mia, what do you think is your most popular song you've had a participation in?
That's a good question. Well, I guess it might be actually that Cletus song, because the fact that they still play it on Christmas and Thanksgiving on a lot of stations, and it was Billboard charted and all that.
And I hear it too, come on the radio. So it's like every time I hear it, I'm like, oh my God.
But I guess my passion the last couple of years has been Christmas music. Half the town calls me Christmas Corey now, and so I finally adopted it. Because there's so many opportunity. First off, nobody has kind of made that their thing that I'm aware of, and so
right. I
just kind of adopted that and started writing over 100 Christmas songs every year. And
we've gotten tons of placements.
And yeah, it's worked. I think this year I had about 40 something artists record Christmas songs of mine. Just in this year.
I've been telling these. They dropped the ball this year. I told all of them back in July. It's Christmas in July. I've been telling y'all Christmas songs.
Well, you got to think. So Hallmark does 40 movies a year, Christmas movies. Lifetime did 30 Christmas movies this year. That's 70, and they probably did at least 3 to 5 songs per movie. So that's 70 movies times 5 opportunities, 350 opportunities just on 2 stations you would have had this year.
Right, exactly. And then that's royalty money and licensing money, which my kids know the difference. Let me get to a couple more of these questions so we have enough time to go over. Just so y'all know, I'm going to answer a couple more of these questions. If you have any questions, put them in the chat, because then we're going to save the last couple of minutes. Corey's going to tell us about some opportunities that he has for you guys. Nate wants to know, what do you predict for music 2021 as a songwriter?
Well, it's a tough year. It's a tougher year for artists than it is songwriters in this past 6 months. So, and
we've been doing good on this end.
It's been busier for me as a writer than ever, because the artists, since they can't go play anywhere, they want to go write new material and maybe take it to the studio so they have that ready. So it's better right now, it's a better time to be a songwriter than it is to be a singer-songwriter, simply because your opportunity to play places aren't as much as they have been in the past. But we're hoping with the vaccine and all these things that at least the second half of 2021 will be a lot more open for opportunity for artists than they have been. But the good thing about TV and film, it's always going to be there. So creating music with as many people as you can. Yes,
and I'm going to just kind of interject here, and that is, which, like I said, we're going to do this. I don't know if it's going to be next Sunday or the Sunday after, but I've got the media research in, and the stuff that's come from media research has blown my mind. I've been kind of looking at the past couple of weeks, and then this final meeting I had yesterday, and I was kind of like, what? Some really crazy, exciting things. But one of them being the ads. So if they're predicting, like, you know, maybe the health isn't, and maybe we're going to go through another sort of lockdown, maybe we won't, but if we do, the ads last year jumped up like a significant percentage, and they're predicting that again. And the ads theme is more health related, more you're going to be okay related. So that's an area we're already knowing that we need content for ads and for things in that area. So that's just something to keep in mind. I got 2 more questions. Jacob said, what made you decide to write for others initially? Was there a moment where it clicked that you had a knack for it? I guess opposed to your own art, your own project.
The first year I was here, I did about 100 shows as an artist. And it clicked for me very quickly that if I'm an artist and that's it, I have one chance to make it, and that's me. One chance. And I have no $1 million investor to help me, which you pretty much need.
Right.
So, but if I'm a writer, then I have infinite chances because there's thousands and thousands of artists in every country, and there's thousands of TV shows and commercials and jingles and all these things that need made. It just made way more sense to me to be multiversatile.
And sometimes it works out to where you like it best, you know, and Jacob's right. Lightning only strikes ever so often. As a songwriter, sometimes when you start getting some success as a writer, you kind of realize that this is almost a little better than having to do the sweat hog of being an artist on tour, you know? So, I mean, I think that's important to know. And wrapping this up before we talk about some opportunities and stuff, and that is, what advice, if you had to give advice to this younger group of new songwriters, and then we've also got some seasoned songwriters in here, what would that advice be?
Well, I would say if you want to be the best writer you could possibly be, I don't think there's any way around not coming to Nashville and at least spending a few years learning from the people who have been here for 20 years, writing with the other people who have been here for 20 years, and just soaking that up like a sponge. I wrote hundreds of songs living in Memphis, but until I got here and learned that there's a whole next level, and then the next level above that next level, I wasn't able to grow like I could until I surrounded myself with the people who knew all these things that I just never thought about.
And I feel like that these type of situations, these type of communities are so important for you guys, because you have to think right now we've got, I don't even know how many people online. I've got 4 people that are right here on, not FaceTime, but it's Skype, that are translating with us. And so these are all people that, I mean, I know right now off the top of my head, 3 people that do digital art. I know 4 people that do have studios in their house. So when you have a community like this, we can all tap in. And then we also are able to get information. Information is everything in this information. That's why I'm constantly wanting to let you guys know, what's the research? What's this going on? What's this opportunity? What's that? Y'all have to know about Sync. That's going to be where you for sure are going to make money licensing. These kids are incredible writers. I cannot wait for you to hear them. Okay. So just to wrap up really quick. Oh my God. Cammie said, I bet you and Missy got into a lot of trouble in high school. Yes, we did, girl. We did. We did get we broke our foot off in a couple things. Always a good Christian fun, but it was still crazy. Like, generally involved a lot of laughter and maybe a prank or 2. They called Corey Prank Sinatra. I'm just kidding. I just made that up from New Girl.
Let me say this too while you were on that ad thing.
Yeah.
I can say from personal experience, I had a great friend of mine who was lucky enough to land an ad for Kia. It was a 3-year deal and it paid over $600,000. So that's a great reason to do why we do what we do.
Because it happens. And this is what I try to tell them. I know, wow, Cody said, I think that for somebody that has worked in Sync, I've seen all different shapes and sizes. I know that it's pretty regular to get a $1,200 check. It's not uncommon to get a $2,500 check, depending on the success of the project. Some of the lowest Sync fees licensing fees I've ever seen have been like $700, maybe $800. And that would be for like maybe a PBS or, you know, something kind of smaller. But Sync is an industry that is growing. The media research is showing that it's grown so much that it won't really show on the charts that we have, because a lot of it doesn't report, because the licensing fees are done between the studio and oftentimes the songwriter. So it doesn't report until down the road. So the Sync is definitely growing. Speaking of Sync, so thank you for your advice. I do want to see what Corey can lend to us, any information, any opportunities going on. I know there's some exciting things in your world you might want to share.
Yeah, there's one of the coolest things that a genre that I don't think to write much is Halloween music, because that's only one day a year. It doesn't make much sense to me to write.
I got some dark, creepy kids in here, Evie.
So,
They love Halloween to me.
but I've got a friend of mine who is a music supervisor for a project, and it's called Halloween Obsessed. And it's not only going to be like an hour and a half documentary. It's going to be actually a series which means several different opportunities for placements of music. So it's not in a hurry right now because it won't show obviously until November of this year. So if your students would like to put together some and record some of their own Halloween music, I know they were looking for more, not so much the eerie stuff as fun stuff like the Monster Mash, which they may not have heard yet. Ghostbusters, that kind of vibe where it's very family friendly.
Yeah, kind of fun, funny, you know,
fun and slightly
clever
kind of thing. So,
So what
if
do you think?
they want to turn some of that stuff into you over the next few months, you can feel free to the stuff that you really like, send it to me, and
I think that's a fantastic, Corey.
And,
You guys, that's a fantastic way of, these are the moments that we were just talking about earlier, how you get an opportunity, you know what somebody's expecting from you. You've got a little bit of time to put some stuff together and see what works, and then pitch directly to Corey through me. So that's something that y'all very likely get a license on something if you get the right song. So that's a really good goal. Anything else going on you might want to share with us, Corey?
well, there's always stuff going on. I mean, like I said, my focus every year the last couple of years have been Christmas, obviously for Hallmark and all that kind of stuff, and then creating for artists. So I would say that the more co-writes you guys can schedule with the more different types of folks, the better off you're going to be, because they bring you different flavors to the table that if you write everything yourself, it's all going to sound the same at some point.
Yes,
But if you
that's so true.
new co-writers to the mix, now you have a different vibe to pitch to this TV show and that TV show and that artist, and keep building your
And
catalog.
that is the best advice too, because I've been talking about that with a lot of these guys. We're actually starting some co-writes in our little group with this one, with that one. Somebody needs to mute. And I think that gives you an opportunity, because now this person's hustling their song and you just get to write along shotgun on it. You don't even have to put in the effort of the hustle. You get to write along. Plus it does give you an opportunity to be a more versatile writer. I mean, I know that I had to write a bluegrass on it. Granted, I grew up on bluegrass, but like bluegrass is what? Is anybody even doing that? Especially 3 or 4 years ago with a bluegrass band, Drive, I think was the name of them. And I remember just sitting around, being a world acclaimed spoon player. I didn't want to just like rub that in anyone's face. So I just kind of sat there. But I just know that the way that they communicate lyrics in bluegrass music, it challenged me as a writer. And I think that's what the co-writes do too. They make you so much of a stronger writer. So you guys, I want y'all to keep in mind what Corey just said. We can go over it in our lessons to, discuss it further. He told you the name of the show, which I probably should have written this down. Oh my God, I'm so worried about being a star over here.
You can email, it's Halloween Obsessed is the name of that particular.
Halloween Obsessed. Okay. I'm always looking for Dusty. I've got a student, Dusty, that always keeps up with everything for me. And I'm like going, where is Dusty? So I'll just ask somebody else. Lizzie. Evie. So that's a great opportunity that you guys have because of Corey. This is a great goal. I think that you guys should check out Corey's book, Hit Happens. Y'all write that down. It's a remarkable book. He goes over just a real simple format questions that are common. It gets down to the meat of the business. So you don't have to like sit through, so many chapters. I know a lot of you guys just want to know. And it's a fantastic book. And 101 Ways to Get Your Songs Recorded. That's a great book too. I haven't read that one as much, to be honest, as I've read Hit Happens.
It just takes 45 minutes basically.
Oh, okay.
It's also filled with a bunch of sarcasm, of course, because I can't deliver any information without being an idiot.
My students love that. I think that that's something that would be in y'all's favor, and especially knowing Corey. Then when he comes to Memphis or we go to Nashville, y'all can get him to sign it and added bonus. Corey, I'm so grateful to have you here. Students, you guys hang on 2 seconds before you click off. I have to make an announcement. But Corey, I'm so thankful to have you here. I would love for when these kids, if we're not able to do the songwriting showcase because of quarantine, which we may not, maybe we can bring you in on to listen to a couple of their original songs in a couple of months, maybe, and
Sounds
give
good.
us feedbacks. That would be fantastic. Corey, thank you so much. You guys give Corey a big hand and tell him thank you. He's giving y'all some priceless information.
Awesome, Corey. Thank you.
You're
Buster,
so awesome, Corey. Y'all need to say hello to your Uncle Sauce and my kids.
if they figure out they have some questions that they missed, they can email them to you, and you can email them to me, and I can see if I can answer some of those and be correct on maybe one of them.
Oh, that's awesome. Corey, I just adore you. It was so good seeing you. Tiffany said, thanks, Corey. So awesome. Great info. Nate
Bye,
said,
Uncle Sauce.
bye, Uncle
Good to see you.
Sauce.
Thanks.
All right, Corey. See you next time.
All right.
All right, you guys hang on 2 seconds. I was just going to tell y'all to make sure that you've joined the Facebook page if you haven't already, so you can keep up with the information. It's kind of hard doing the emails, texts, and stuff like that. Are you guys loving Sunday Night Live? Can I get a feedback? Hey, Jackson. Are y'all liking it? Is 6 o'clock working out for you guys? Can I get some chat information if that time doesn't work out? Because we'll be doing our master class during the, who said spoon playing wasn't a real instrument? How dare you? Evie, you know better. You're just saying that because you're jealous I'm sponsored by Oneida.
Sorry,
I think
ma'am.
I'm playing with you, baby. I think that that's something that the Sunday nights, when we do the Sunday Night Lives, Debbie, I know you're doing one. We'll get together and see what day you're doing that. Y'all need to really support each other on y'all's releases. Debbie's got love letters on Spotify. You know, go check it out, share it. And that's something as a community we really need to do, is get behind each other's projects and really be behind it. I know Millie's really good about that. Millie will check out whoever's releasing whatever and get behind it. Also the Sunday Night Live that Millie said, I love that song, Debbie. That's so cute. It's so true. I think that the Sunday Night Live, especially for the music prediction ones, when we do that, Debbie said, thank you, Millie. I think that, okay, Cody said, post some songs to the Facebook page. Let's do that. Let's get that going, Debbie. The media research that I talked about for 2 seconds, I'm about to end this, I swear to God, y'all just need to know this. The media research that I was telling Corey about a second ago is really mind-blowing to me. Easy, great stuff that you guys that are releasing new stuff will be able to tap into this. It's going to be too much information to tell each other, to tell you guys individually in lessons. So I'm just going to do it possibly even next Sunday night. And then we'll just feature one of our songwriters next Sunday night. And then we're going to get into some of this that you guys need to know. I hope you guys are loving this. Like, I think this is so fun and neat, a great way to get information and for us to stay connected together. I'll look at Evie's little applause sign. Does anybody have any other questions or anything? Okay. Thanks, guys, for hopping on here. Hopefully y'all have gotten all the information and questions answered. Just like Corey said, email me if you have any more questions. He's really good about getting back and doing that. Corey's really good about in the past helping out a lot of my songwriters kind of get to this person that got them to that person. So he's just a really great, Millian said, will everybody drop their socials in the Facebook group? I think that's really important. To do that here, or maybe even on the Facebook page. I guess some people aren't on the Facebook page. Is that right? Okay, Cody said yes. All right, let's do that really quick and we'll give everybody a second to put, yeah, y'all need to definitely put your social media information so you guys can follow each other. I'm going to make a post about that on Facebook. Jacob, will you help me remember that? I know you're an admin on there. Let's make a post so that way everybody can say, here's where I am on this. You're right, Millian. We all need to be very supportive over each other during these times. That's what the community is about, getting behind each other. You know, we're 50 people strong. We should have numbers when somebody releases something. It should be shared, reshared. I mean, that's part of our power. This has been so much fun. Okay, I will keep y'all updated on the next one. Evie don't have Facebook. Your mama does, so your mom will communicate that with you, Evie. For my younger ones, y'all just get with your parents. I've already talked to your parents about the Facebook page, so they'll share with you guys. It was so good to see everyone. It was fun for you new guys. So excited. Whoever wants to feature the next month and a half, you guys reach out to me and let me know when you want to. I know that a lot of y'all have music ready. So I think that some of you guys need to get with me on that and see who's ready. All right, you guys, I will see y'all this week in lessons. Have fun. Bye. Bye.
See ya.
Bye, Evie. Bye, RJ. Bye, Isabel.
Bye.
Bye. That was really good, Mimi. I love you.